trung và dự án 2025, 99% sẽ dẫn đến sự ứng nghiệm khải huyền về ngày tận thế.
What is the future of the United States of America?
Many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason.
You were born on June 14th, 1946. From ages past, it was appointed that on that day, a scripture would be recited throughout the world. The scripture that was appointed for the day of your birth spoke of the bringing of God's vessel, a trumpet, into the world. President Trump, you were born into the world to be a trumpet of God, a vessel of the Lord in the hands of God. You set it in motion on a day that was appointed from ancient times to cause a nation to turn away from its sin. There are so many mysteries to your life. But before you were born, God ordained that you would walk into his destiny. And that if he should now bring you to the height of power, it will be for his glory. It will be the last act and maybe America's last chance of redemption. America can only be great again if America turns back to God. You are a trumpet of God. God is calling you to go all out for God, for him. And if you do, then what follows will be the greatest and most glorious part. Then you will do what no president has ever done. You will be the vessel God used to bring America back, to touch history and to change the world. For the Lord has spoken, and the only hope America has, that it might yet again shine with the light of the fire, of the power, of the glory.
I will create a new federal task force on fighting anti-Christian bias.
We have these leaders of the Project 2025 agenda, something you've probably heard about if you follow the news. And Trump famously, repeatedly asserted, claimed, even at times insisted he didn't back Project 2025, that it was something over there with other people. Well, some of them are now preparing to enter his administration in key roles. Trump has picked people for all 15 cabinet level spots now.
Now, during the campaign, Trump distanced himself from Project 25. He said he never read it, didn't look at it, etc. So how significant is it that his pick for FCC chair and Russ Vought both wrote parts of Project 2025?
Yeah, look, I think it's extremely significant, and it shows that the Trump team isn't distancing from Project 2025. In fact, they're embracing it.
And they're not just picking one or two, they're picking several prominent Project 2025 authors and contributors, including the co-author of the whole thing, Russell Vought, who Trump is tapping to be a White House budget officer, which is an important thing in the federal government, right? The budget kind of intersects with just about everything. And he's a Trump loyalist.
God ordained the Sabbath as a day of rest, and until very recently, the Judeo-Christian tradition sought to honor that mandate by moral and legal regulation of work on that day. Moreover, a shared day off makes it possible for families and communities to enjoy time off together rather than as atomized individuals, and provides a healthier cadence of life for everyone. Unfortunately, that communal day of rest has eroded under the pressures of consumerism and secularism, especially for low-income workers. Congress should encourage communal rest by amending the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA 9, to require that workers be paid time and a half for hours worked on the Sabbath. That day would default to Sunday. Other conservatives believe that the government's role is to protect the free exercise of religion by eliminating barriers as opposed to erecting them, whereas imposing overtime rules on the Sabbath would lead to higher costs and limited access to goods and services, and reduce work available on the Sabbath, while also incentivizing some people, through higher wages, to desire to work on the Sabbath. The proper role of government in helping to enable individuals to practice their religion is to reduce barriers to work options and to fruitful employer and employee relations. The result? Ample job options that do not require work on the Sabbath, so that individuals in roles that sometimes do require Sabbath work are empowered to negotiate directly with their employer to achieve their desired schedule.
I will create a new federal task force on fighting anti-Christian bias. And its mission will be to investigate all forms of illegal discrimination, harassment, and persecution against Christians in America.
Daddy, I'll get arrested. said, don't you know they passed a new law? No fishing on Sunday?
Who passed it?
Just last week. The League for Elderly Democracy passed it. That's right, and now everyone has to go to church.
But Grandma doesn't go to church.
I think our country's missing a lot of religion. I think it really was a much better place with religion. It was almost a guide, to a certain extent it was a guide. You want to be good to people. Without religion, there are no guardrails.
Trump campaigned for president in 2016, promising that if he was elected, Christians would have power. And he gave it to them.
Beast, you've heard all kinds of rumors, stories, and all this. I'll tell you quick and simple. If you keep the 10 Commandments that God wrote upon those tables of stone, and about which he says in Psalms 89:34, he says, my covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that has gone out of my lips. He spoke the 10 Commandments from the mountaintop. If you wrote them in stone, and he says, nothing will change. Right? If you keep that law, you will receive the seal of God. Soon there will be a set of man-made laws, best intentions, surrounded by a barrage, all kinds of stories and all of this, instigated by the devil to make you think that this is the best thing that ever happened to the human race and that you just want to go along with it voluntarily. These man-made laws will require that you break God's 10 Commandments. Christ said of the Pharisees, for it is in vain that they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. If you keep those man-made laws and break God's 10 Commandments, you will receive the mark of the beast. Nobody has the mark of the beast at this point in time. You can only get it after those laws are enforced. Now,
Christ said to his disciples when speaking of the Jewish leaders in his day, he said, for it is in vain that they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. God did not accept Abel's or Cain's offering of fruit and vegetables. He will not accept any substitute for our loyalty to him, but keeping his 10 Commandments. And there will come a time, folks, when if you do that, you will not be able to buy or sell.
The tables of stone will be on display after the national Sunday law is enforced. That is the exact words of the angel as I recall.
Khi việc tuân giữ ngày thứ nhất bị cưỡng bức bởi luật pháp, và thế giới được làm sáng tỏ về bổn phận đối với ngày sa-bát thật, thì ai vi phạm điều răn của Đức Chúa Trời để tuân theo một quy định không có thẩm quyền nào cao hơn ngoài của Roma, người đó sẽ tôn kính giáo hoàng hơn là Đức Chúa Trời. Người đó đang tôn thờ con thú và hình tượng của nó. Việc này được gọi là dấu của con thú. Những ai hiểu rõ các yêu cầu của điều răn thứ tư, nhưng vẫn chọn giữ ngày sa-bát giả thay vì ngày sa-bát thật, sẽ tôn kính quyền lực đã ra lệnh đó.
The Catholic Church claims that Sunday sacredness is a mark of her authority. In a letter from C.F. Thomas, Chancellor of Cardinal Gibbons, it says, of course the Catholic Church claims that the change, that is, of the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, was her act, and the act is a mark of her ecclesiastical power and authority in religious matters.